But does buying a land here, let's say I'm a foreigner, I'm a Kenyan, or let's say I'm from Jamaica, I come here, buy a land, does that give me an opportunity to have the Rwandan citizenship? What are the legal requirements for foreigners to purchase property here in Rwanda?
Before 2021, all the foreigner what was requested was just to be present in the country.
Okay.
And in terms of buying property, they could buy anything they want with no limitations.
Wow. And for you to like buy, when you said you have to need your legal documents, which are the passports, do I need to have opened a bank here in Rwanda or something of the sort?
So in the current land law, allows every other foreigner, so you're entitled to one piece of property, residential property per family. So what you are required to do is you have to just go into the Rwandan embassy in the country residing and give the power of attorney to somebody in the country. So that could be your agent, that could be your relative or a friend. You'd be like, hey, I'm giving you the power of attorney to represent me in the transaction of this title. So all you have to do is to sign in my name.
Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your girl Gracie D, your African diva. If you're watching me and you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, kindly consider subscribing. Also, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and share. So as I promised, guys, there's so many of you on the comment section that have been asking me on how to go, buying properties here in Rwanda. What are the benefits that you can get after buying a property here in Rwanda as a foreigner, or for the people in the diaspora? So on today's episode, I have a very good friend of mine here, and I'm gonna let him introduce himself, and from then we'll know on how to go and about buying properties here in Rwanda and moving to Rwanda when you've bought a property, and how you can become a Rwandan citizen after purchasing a property here in Rwanda. So I'll let him introduce himself. Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Fantastic. Yes.
Nice meeting you.
Very great to meet you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
So what's up, everybody? My name is Prince Hoffman Banamngana. I'm the founder of Quick Homes Rwanda, which is a real estate agency based out here in Kigali.
Wow, that's awesome, guys. He's in real estate and he's doing an amazing job. He also has a YouTube channel. He's been doing this job for how long, if you don't mind?
Well, we've been in operations for over 3 years now.
Wow.
It's been an interesting journey. We've seen really properties change faces. Okay. We've seen people come into the country. It's been a nice ride.
Wow. Can you give us like a bit of history of how the Rwanda real estate is doing? As I know it hasn't been something that has been there for long, because I've been working in some neighborhoods, and I can see like people don't really live here with apartments that much. It's something that's starting to come up. Like, how long has this been going on?
Really, I mean, real estate as a concept has been there forever, because people have been living, so they've been having properties. Selling real estate, that has been different, because I would say it just started picking up maybe well over the past 10 years, 10, 15 years. That's when people actually started buying properties or building properties to sell them. Before, it was like any other African community where a parent has a big chunk of land and they'll give their kid just a small parcel, like you're gonna get married, build there, or the government would give land to expand the city, to expand the country. So it's not been really a thing where people buy property. But man, when it really started. So we've been really seeing like a rise in prices, a rise in type of real estate you can find. You mentioned apartments. We are having a surge of apartments. Every other place has like apartment developments happening. So I would say it's been an interesting start for the real estate market in the country.
Wow, guys, and it's really booming, because I've been to different neighborhoods, and the kind of apartments that I'm seeing here in Rwanda, oh goodness, that is something like I feel like it's a discovery. And so like they don't joke when it comes to how they organize their neighborhoods, starting on how they are building their apartments, and they do it very professionally. So stay tuned and let's get to the questions that most of you have been wanting to know. So maybe you can start telling us, what are the legal requirements for foreigners to purchase property here in Rwanda?
Actually, as you know, with the main policy of the country is to really welcome everybody into the country, and that is not just a recent thing with the promos that are happening with Premier League teams. No, it's been there for a while, because actually before 2021. All the foreigner what was requested was just to be present in the country, and in terms of buying property, they could buy anything they want with no limitations.
Wow.
So technically you could just fly to the country, go figure out 10 hectares of land, and just with your passport you just buy it, and nothing else would be requested of you. You would be the legal owner of that land. You would even sometimes, before they change that, you could even have a freehold, which is something that is different than any other country. But in 2021, they squeezed a little bit. They didn't change much. Really, what they changed was just putting a little bit of limitations, but also they have workarounds on those limitations. So for the moment, as a foreigner, all you need to do is to have just your legal identification document. So that will be your passport, be in country or out of country, and figure out the land you want. If it's residential, you will buy it. If it's not residential, you will probably register it on your company, but you'll still own it.
And for you to buy, when you said you have to need your legal documents, which are the passports, do I need to have opened a bank here in Rwanda or something of the sort?
So in a nutshell, really, if say you wanted to buy land here, the only thing you have to first figure out is the land you want to buy a residential land, because we have zoning and a master plan. And if it's anything other than residential, it gets slightly complicated, but it's still doable as well. So if it's residential and it is within the sizes that the government allows, because you can't exceed 400 square meters per family. So if it's that, then all you need is just what I mentioned. You need your passport, have your cash or do transfer. You don't even need to have a bank account. You don't need to have any other document. No, you will do it as a local would do.
So you've said about you can only get 400 square meters as a foreigner. So that means I cannot have more than 2 plots, or maybe explain that to us.
So the current land law allows every other foreigner. So you are entitled to one piece of property, residential property per family. So you can only own one if you want it to be registered under you as an individual. But if you wanted to own more, or if you wanted to own a property that is in a zoning of commercial, agriculture, forest, name it. If you want to own any other thing, the law just requests you to register it under a business. So that will entail that you have to register a business. You have to request what's called an investment certificate, because this time it's considered as an investment, not as a personal use. And for you to have an investment certificate, they request you to submit a business plan that shows how you intend to use that land. And when it's approved, and the zoning is in line with the business you're looking for, then you can buy as many as you want. So it's just really a different shift where you don't own it as an individual, but own it as a business. Because of course, the country wants you to be serious and not buy land and disappear.
Okay, so let me ask you one last question on this. So let's say I'm married and my husband wants to buy a property for himself, but we still want more than one, and we don't want to register it as a business. That means me as his wife, I can still purchase property here, and I can be in a position to purchase it for maybe if I have a child who is over 18 years old. Is it possible?
Now, if you married the current, it's a little workaround. Because the current law does not request foreigners to present their marriage certificate. So per se, not an advisor, but per se, the husband can register one property on them, and the wife can register one property on them, and the son and whoever. But that's still a little loophole. And now that it's in the video, they might fix it. Sorry. But yeah, it's still something that could be done at the moment. They have not fixed it, because for locals they request us to present the marriage certificate, so that if I'm buying land and I'm married, my wife automatically gets on it. But for foreigners, it's not mandatory for the moment.
Okay, so you guys, if you're watching this and you want to buy more than one,
quickly before they just do it.
Exactly. So, are there any restriction on the types of properties foreigners can buy?
For the moment, I don't think so, because as I mentioned, you would say you can't buy more than 1,000, but if you register it on the business, you can still own it even though it's not under your name.
Okay.
So it's just a change of modality on ownership, but I think they are open to buying anything they want. Of course, apart probably military land or any government land, but if anything a local can buy, I think foreigners can buy as well.
Perfect. So my next question, guys, he's already answered it. What are the documents that you need to buy a property here in Rwanda? So you just basically need your national passport and the money, of course.
Maybe one thing I would mention is, we've had scenarios where somebody is like, look, Prince, I want to buy this property, but I don't have the time to come in the country.
Yeah.
As you know, I think if you follow our channel, we've done videos on it, but everything is digitalized in the land system. So technically, even when you get a title, you don't get it printed. You actually get a digital copy. So it's just a document you can download from anywhere in the world in French, Kinyarwanda, and English.
So wait, sorry. In Rwanda, so you don't have like the physical title?
I mean, if you want it, they'll print it for you, but you don't need it.
Also, if you send it to me on like a soft copy, I can still print it for myself.
Yes. So
I don't have to have it printed in Rwanda.
Definitely. I mean, the digital copy is worthy as the printed copy. So it was a nice move for the government to ease up and actually cut down on cutting trees, because that's printing. So if you cut down the printing, it eases everybody, it eases the cost, because ever since they introduced the digital system, the prices of getting the title, even though they are actually small in Rwanda, they actually even reduced even further. Wow. So back to the story that I was telling you. So somebody will be like, I want to buy a property, but I don't want to come into the country. So what you are required to do is you have to just go into the Rwandan embassy in the country you're residing and give the power of attorney to somebody in the country. So that could be your agent, that could be your relative or a friend. You'd be like, hey, I'm giving you the power of attorney to represent me in the transaction of this title. So all you have to do is to sign in my name. So when you sign that into the Rwandan embassy in the country residing, send it over. It's as well as you being in the country. So they will just, whenever that person will need to sign under your name, they just sign and present that document. And the title, when it's issued, it will be issued under your name. And remember, it's digital, so you can download it from anywhere in the world.
I hope you guys have gotten that point really well, because it's a very important point. So if you need to purchase a land here and you're not here in Rwanda, let's say you want to use Prince from, Quick Rwanda Homes, you can, use him as your power of attorney. You just have to visit the embassy back in your country. So what of those people who don't have Rwandan embassy in their countries, or your embassy, they're everywhere? I'm not sure.
I mean, no, they're usually not so far.
Okay.
And again, that's a cost one has to manage, because let's say, we are in Rwanda. Let's say, of course, let me use a scenario of Uganda and Kenya. Let's say you are in Uganda, but flying to Kigali will cost you $1,000. Yet going to the Rwandan embassy will cost you $200. Somebody will be like, okay, the cost of going to Kenya is easier than me flying to the country to just do that. Because if you come into the country, you're going to pay for hotels and all that. Yet probably the transaction you're going to do is a small transaction, or it's something that feels like it's a nice deal you need to get into right now. So if the whole thing is just to represent you, there's usually no issue, and you find they're usually around the other country. So there is representation in every close proximity.
Wow, thank you. So are there any special taxes or fees that apply to foreigners buyers?
None. Like, technically what I pay as a local is what you pay as a foreigner, because the land title is not discriminative. It does not, they tax the land, not the individual. Does that make sense? Because you have one thing called the UPI number, so like the unique personal identifier. So that is like what is considered, not whoever owns it. So if it's a company, if it's an individual, they will just differ maybe in zoning. So they will just have the same rules on residential zoning, same rules on agriculture zoning, same rules of commercial zoning. Whoever owns it, like, it will just be the same.
I think most African countries need to learn from Rwanda. And I think that's why most people in the diaspora are moving to Rwanda, because I've seen so many people purchasing lands here.
Yeah.
And I think they've made it easy for everyone to, you know, to purchase and move to Rwanda. And that's really helping with their economy. And I'm saying this because I'm here in Rwanda and I've, you know, it's something that I've experienced. So Kenya, you should learn from Rwanda. Okay. Is there like any differences between, like, you know, when you're purchasing as a foreigner and as a local? Like for a local, for a foreigner, you say you just need your document, which is your passport. Is there any differences between when I'm a local? Because there are people who would feel like, there are people who would be afraid of buying a land in a foreign country, and they'll be like, because I have maybe a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a friend that's a local, maybe I can use them. I trust them enough for them to purchase the land on my behalf. So are there any differences between a foreigner and a local?
No, I would say there's no differences, because as a local, I think the thing I mentioned, you need just your ID and present, you know, your marital status certificates if you're single, if you are married, something like that. But there's no really much difference. And since things are digital, usually a scenario like that one would happen where somebody feels like, you know, they don't trust the whole entity.
Yeah.
So they're like, probably they will understand more if it's just a local. But since here the laws are just there and somebody has to read them, it's usually easy, because you will be able to track if the transaction is happening. You will do all the payments online, and you can have all your receipts and download your title online. So it's not like somebody will be like, you know, they won't print it if I don't speak in Rwanda. No. They don't need their presence.
Yeah.
So everything is just done and then approved. And by the way, the processing time can take anywhere from 3 days to 2 weeks to have your title. So it's that fast. Remember, it's digital.
Yeah.
So it's somebody clicking. That's it.
So let me ask you, have there been cases of, you know, where people have been scammed trying to buy lands, you know, from abroad? Maybe they're not here. Because like I would use an example, like in my country, Kenya, sometimes you can buy a land and find out that this land has been sold to like more than one person, maybe 2 or 3 people, and they've already taken the money. But when you go to like look on the process that, you know, are required for you to finish up, you end up finding that that's not your land, it has already been sold to someone else. Have such things occurred here in Rwanda?
Again, I'll bring up the digital aspect, because before that it used to happen. Remember, if in most countries the titles are still a printed copy.
Exactly.
So if I make a copy, technically I can just give it to 2 people and take the money and run. But these days, since everything is digital, we actually have what called short codes. These are USSD codes where you can put in any phone, put in the UPI number that I mentioned, and be able to verify the identity on the title. So that cuts down on the scamming part. And again, I'll always mention this: always seek professional advice whenever you are transacting, because land is expensive, houses are expensive.
Yeah.
So take your time. Don't rush. Don't let anybody rush you. Take your time. Ask all the necessary questions. Look for all the necessary proofs, because again, when it happens, that's when you realize that you probably rushed. So take your time. Verify all that. Everything here is digital. You can verify using just the UPI. If you can't get the UPI, then something fishy is going to happen. So the things being digital at least decentralized most of those and cut down on the scamming part.
Oh, yeah. That's amazing. So there's this part. There's a friend of mine back in 2022 when I was here. They were trying to buy a land in Msanze.
Okay.
But they were like, it was very hard, as you all know, like I would say most people here, most of them speak Kinyarwanda, especially for the older generation. So Bahi was trying to find someone who can, how do you call it? Like who can help with, you know, talking with the guy in Kenya, translate. But the person that they got was charging them a lot, like $1,000 just for, you know, translation. Yeah. So in such things, like what would you advise people? Because I feel like most people, they like this guy, they saw the land, they really liked it because of like Msanza is very beautiful and Rwanda is very beautiful, guys. So they liked the land, but they ended up not purchasing the land that they wanted, because they felt like, and the people are like really pressuring him, and he felt it didn't sit right with him, and he decided just to, you know, let go of it. So with such people, what advice would you give to them?
My advice will be selfish, is work with an agency, because when you work with an agency, at least you know the terms that are going to be guiding your transaction, and it's one other party that is reliable for your transaction. So it's not like you're just dealing with an individual directly, and those issues gets cut down. Of course, if you were to do it as individual and with no agency in between, then as well, probably figure out a friend who can help out. But my advice stays: don't rush into any transaction. Of course, everything is there in place to keep it safe. But of course, if it's the world, if somebody sees that they can make an opportunity out of you, they will do it. But the best way is, there is a number of agencies in the country recognized with locations, with reputation. You can always approach them for guidance. And whether in transaction, before transaction, or post transaction, you can always ask them for guidance. And I would put money down that any other agency will be happy to help, even free of charge or at a small cost, depending on the complexity of the transaction.
Awesome. So are there any specific areas or neighborhoods that are popular among foreigner buyers, like here in Rwanda?
Yes, there is a number. Of course, you'll hear the word Kibagabaga a lot, Nyarutarama. Those are the high ends of Kigali. Rebero is up the mountain, so you have nice views of the city.
Wow.
But as well, it depends on really taste of people. There are people who love to live with the locals, so who will prefer a place like Nyamirambo. There are people who prefer places like Kanombe, especially when their budget is medium and they're looking for something as an investment, not necessarily for them to consume immediately. But I would say, neighborhoods like Kachiru, Chimihurura, Nyarutarama, and Gachuriro, and Kibagabaga are really usually the best preference for foreigners.
Oh, so these are like the most high-end neighborhoods here in, in Kigali, where the rich people hide. So those are the places that if you want to move to such areas and live the lavish life, that's where maybe he's telling us you can go. But I've also been to neighborhoods like Kisukiro. I've been to Nyamirambo, and they're very beautiful. It's just
it's how can I say it? It's a funny thing. It's hard for me usually to explain, because when you're in Kigali, you quickly realize distance is not a problem, because main roads are really proper. And there's not a lot of traffic compared to other countries.
Exactly.
So technically, you could move from any other part of the city to the city center in just less than 40 minutes. Which is hard to say in most countries. So you could live in Rusororo, which is another area, but which is like 40 minutes away from the city, and work in the city and have no problem. So, or you'd live in Rusororo, drop kids in Nyarutarama and work in the city center, and that will just take you like an hour. So you find quickly that proximity is not that much of an issue. So that's why some people are like, instead of buying a property that is 600,000 in Nyarutarama, I will buy 200,000 in Rusororo and I'll have no problem. I'll save that 400,000.
And maybe buy materials.
Yes, buy materials. Keep that money on my pocket.
Exactly.
I mean, who doesn't need that extra?
And as you're saying, guys, like for you that most of you have been watching my videos, like every place that I go to here in Rwanda, I use a motorbike. So like that shows you how close everything is close to everything, if I can say it like that. The neighborhoods are very close to the city center, which is Kigali downtown. You call it Kigali downtown, right? So that should not be a problem for you. So but does buying a land here, let's say I'm a foreigner, I'm a Kenyan, or let's say I'm from Jamaica, I come here, buy a land. Does that give me an opportunity to have the Rwandan citizenship?
It contributes, but it's not all. because, you know, of course, the immigration office has its own requirements.
Okay.
Probably, you know, I'll you know, you refer to their website for them to research some more. But from the information I have, it's not everything. Owning a property is not everything, but it's a key contributor because it shows you are invested in the country, and not only emotionally, but also income-wise. Of course, other things they will say is your source of income. Show if you can really live in the country and, you know, not to use this word, but you won't be the burden to the society and country. So all that combined really helps out on your application.
Because I thought, and like I asked people, and someone on the comment section was asking this question, and somebody told them, yeah, when you purchase a land here in Rwanda, you directly get the citizenship.
No,
it's and not. I was like,
you know, I mean, you can always, the country is easy to access. I think it's the easiest country very to access easy in Africa, because you know, you're African, you're from anywhere in the world, you just get, either you get your visa on entry, or you don't even need it. So it's the easiest country to reach, but again, like any other country, for you to qualify to be a citizen, to get citizenship, there gotta be some sort of vetting to happen. So it's not automatic. It's a key contributor, but it's not automatic.
So in that case, it means I can even buy a land here and try to go through with the process of, you know, getting the citizenship, and it might not happen at all.
But you know, I think it's always like things you have to tick off, right? So it might not happen because you didn't maybe have another thing that they requested. So I think that is the right explanation I could give you too.
Okay, guys, so for you to get the citizenship here, when you buy a land here, it does not necessarily mean that you now become a Rwandan citizen. So to find out more on that, you have to visit the immigration website and, you know, get to find of the documents that are required of you, you know, even after purchasing the land. Okay. Can you recommend any legal or financial advisors who specialize in assisting foreign buyers?
Now, there is no specific body I would recommend, but most legal offices here, most law firms here, they could really provide that, because again, it's pretty straightforward. And if you meet any other issue, they're always there. So I would probably give you a list after the interview. You can link it in the description of the video, so that at least they could just ping on each of them should they have an issue and need representation.
Okay, so I also have this question. As a Rwandan, there's a way you can buy land on loan. Like you can use your bank and you'll be paying, like, you know, on interest. Is this even possible for foreign buyers?
Now, my honest answer, I don't think so. I don't think so, because it's, you know, for a bank to give you a mortgage, because I think that's what you're referring to, a mortgage to buy a property, they need to verify your income, they need to verify your employment, they need to verify so many things that, you know, necessarily does not fall under the jurisdiction of Rwanda. So that's why, for the moment, what I know works 100% is for Rwandans and Rwandan diaspora and foreigners employed in the country. So if you are employed in the country, there you can qualify for a loan. But if you're not employed in the country, because banks will tell you we have no way of verifying the income, verifying the information directly, it will be a little bit difficult.
Okay. Do you think there are any cultural differences that would affect foreigners, you know, buying lands here in Rwanda, that maybe people should be aware of?
No, because, you know, I would say the history of Rwanda being one people, like we speak the same language, you travel from here, Kigali, to any other part, any other village, and somebody will just be willing to help you and talk to you. And by the way, I think being the most welcoming country, people will be willing to help a foreigner than a local. So if you're even a foreigner and you need some help, and they even know that you are into their society, they'll actually go miles to help you. So it's not like there's gonna be any cultural issues, and I don't really think, I've not met that scenario. Probably what will happen is just it will take some time to get used to the way people live, the way understanding the way the locals live. But I don't think you'll meet an issue of cultural differences and stuff like that.
Okay, all right. And as you said, Rwandans are very friendly guys. I've been in situations where I need help, and the fact that I don't speak Rwanda and I will go even talk to an older person who does not understand me, they always make sure they find someone that understands what I'm saying, and they'll make sure that I've gotten the help that I need. That's how Rwandans. Thank you so much for being so kind, to people. On our last question, I would want to know this. There's this whereby I had someone who purchased a land, and they say it was on commercial, something of the sort, commercial agriculture. But when they purchased the land, they wanted the land for residential, and they were told it takes quite some time to transfer the land from commercial to residential. Like, how long does this process take, and what are the steps to take when you find yourself in such a situation? Because for me, I can come to buy a land here for residential, but because someone really wants to sell the land, they'll not tell me that it's under commercial. I end up paying for the money and everything, but end up not receiving my documents, and it has to take a lot of time for me to wait. Like, if you would tell us what are the steps that are required, for someone to take who, wants such a land, or maybe I want a land, maybe let's say in Kisukiro, but it's in commercial, but I want it as residential.
Now, I would say it's difficult. It's difficult on these points. Rwanda has a master plan of the land uses of different areas. So you have areas allocated for residential, you have areas allocated for commercial, and you have areas for forest, for agriculture, for, a different type of scenarios. Everything is planned for. Now, when you happen to find yourself in a situation where you have already committed to land, knowing or not knowing, because if somebody doesn't understand, they tell you, hey, this land is in agriculture, but I can change it in residential. Usually they're lying, because it's something that will take the whole city to the city council to approve, because it's affecting the general master plan. So it's only possible in locations that have not been how can I say, where the master plan has not been detailed.
Okay.
But if the current, what you want is changing the zoning, then it's difficult. It's really difficult. It can take long to wait for it to happen. Or it might not happen. Because if you're buying, let's say in Kigali, right now the zoning in Kigali is complete. If it's in agriculture, it's in agriculture. Wow. So changing it's just very difficult. You can't promise somebody that it's gonna change. In that scenario, maybe my advice would be to register it under the business, because you could create a business. Again, creating a business in Rwanda takes just 6 hours maximum. So you could create, and it's as well, you can do it in your country. You don't have to even be in Rwanda. So you can register a business, request an investment certificate, and the conformity letter. It will take you maybe time again. It will take you as well a little budget, something around, if you're doing it yourself, you'll spend $500 to RDB. But at least you'll get a chance to own the property. Even though it's not under your name, it will be under your company name, and you can still use it to what you wanted. But again, that's where agencies come in, because all those information are public knowledge. But if you don't ask, sometimes you don't get. But working with a professional agency, usually they have to lay down all those details, because you have to know all the intricacies of what you're buying.
So let me ask you this, because I've discovered there is a way that you guys here in Rwanda build your own, like your houses. Like, like I go to a neighborhood and it's kind of all looks the same. So is this something that has been put there by the government? Because like, I feel like if I need to buy a land in a place like Kisukiro, as a foreigner, I need to know, like, this is how I want to build my house, but maybe I have my own idea, but it does not sit well with the city, rules and everything else. Are there any regulation as such?
So regulations are generally on how you construct. So let's say in residential, we have R1, which is bungalows.
Yeah.
We have R2, which is like, how can I say, high density residential areas. So there you find like apartments of multiple families.
Okay.
You have R3, which can be one single family as well as apartments, and R4, which is another high density residential area.
Okay.
So let's say if you buy land in R1, the law will just regulate you on which type of property you can build there. So if you want to build a 10-story house in an R1, the law will tell you can't do that, because here you can only do ground floor plus 2 floors only. So it will just give you general guidance, and they leave you room to fit in whatever you want. So they'll tell you spaces you have to leave, what they call setbacks. They'll tell you what you need to have. They will analyze the site, the construction plans that you have to see if everything is allocated for, but they don't limit you on what type of design. Maybe the reason why you see many houses looking alike is because probably that's what people can afford, and if this budget worked for the neighbor and I have the same budget, then I won't go break the bank or design something different. I'll just fit into it for the moment because that's what I have. But the laws don't specify you need to construct a house that looks like this. No, they'll just give you general guidelines, and then you just have to fit whatever design you want into those guidelines.
Oh, thank you for letting us know that, because I was wondering, okay, they have like really nice designs, but that is something I was, I always wanted to know from someone who is aware of it, because you would go to a certain neighborhood and to see like the houses, they all kind of look the same. And I remember someone asked me on the comment section, does the government give them a way on how to build their houses? But yeah, so I also wanted to ask, let's say I purchase a land here and I want to build like apartment blocks. So that means I have to go for the commercial property, for the land of commercial, because
it can also be R1 or R4, because those are high density residential zonings.
Okay.
So, depending on how many units, how many families you want to put there, usually there is a document, we'll link to it probably in the video for somebody who wants to go in-depth reading. It's available online, where every other zoning is specified and detailed on what you can build there. So you'll just have to fall into that. You can either fall into commercial, R4 or R2, because commercial sometimes has mixed use where you have shops and apartments. So if that's what you're looking for, that's the type of land you have to really look for. And if you just want apartments and nothing commercial, then you look for R4 or R2.
Okay, so on the last question, because we talked so much on buying lands and everything else, what of, buying apartments? How do people go about it? Is it the same process?
Same process.
So it's just the same as you when you're purchasing the land? That
is correct, because usually when you build an apartment complex, you are supposed to issue condominium titles. So the process to exchange the title is the same as land, is the same as house. So the owner has to provide a condominium title.
Wow, okay. So is there anything else you feel like you need to add that people can know, that something that I didn't ask maybe?
I mean, you asked overall best questions. All I can say, Kigali, Rwanda is welcome. Real estate is booming. You can make a good buck either by buying and selling, or buying and renting, or you can live a comfortable life in Kigali just by buying and staying here. We have the good weather all year round. People are lovely, things to see, things to invest in. Welcome in Kigali and Rwanda.
Yeah. Kindly maybe tell my people how we can reach you.
Oh, that's actually a nice thing. Thanks for the plug. So Quick Homes Rwanda is, we have our offices in Kigali, and we are available across all platforms. Our handle is usually Quick Homes or Quick Rwanda, and we could be available to you anytime. Our website as well is www.quick.rw. So you could reach out anytime. If you have any other questions, we will be happy to help you guys.
Okay, guys, so I'll put all their details on the description box, so in case you need to reach out to them, you don't have to worry about that. I really appreciate. Thank you for your time, and thank you for giving us this information to me and my viewers. Thank you on behalf of them. So this is gonna be the end of this episode, guys. In case there is something that you feel like I haven't asked or that you really want to know, I'm still here in Kigali. I still can do another sit down with him and ask him, the questions that maybe you want to know out there that we've not discussed. But this is gonna be the end of this episode. Make sure if you're looking forward to buy a land here in Rwanda, reach out to them. You don't have to worry about anything now, because now you're gonna be dealing with professionals. You don't have to worry about being scammed. You don't have to worry of not getting the right place, as the law here work in Rwanda. So until the next episode, bye.